Apparently, sports cliches are used in 50% of boardrooms across the USA. Does this mean running an organization is just like coaching a sports team? So what type of coach are you? Will you step up to the plate, knock it out of the park, and always take one for the team? Are you more of a Monday morning quarterback with a reputation of talking a good game? Our team are here to help you lead your players to the next championship. And there's not a single eye in our team neither. Brent doesn't have one, but Heidi, she has two. Hi Heidi and hi Brent.
Hello.
Hey, hello.
So I've got this image of you both in spandex, shouting up and down on the sideline with your headphones on and a big microphone, covering your mouth as you scream to a boardroom full of people about how they should be running their business. Am I anywhere close?
Well, if I were wearing spandex like that with the headset, I think I'd have to gain about 75 pounds to look like your average NFL coach, if that's the vibe we're going for.
Yeah, I think I would rather be the football, or soccer, as we call it here on this side of the pond, the well-dressed Italian football coach.
Yeah.
What a huge
with
difference.
His Armani and his tie.
Yeah.
Ooh, see.
And just looking disappointed at his players.
Yes, I would be much more for the Italian football coach kind of look. Yeah. No, coaching's rather interesting, and it is something that most people are familiar with from the sports area, but how it is visually performed in sports really doesn't have much to do with psychologically how you should be helping and supporting people. So it's funny because there's a visual that goes with it, and it's not what we do. When we coach, one of the things that we really try to do, we have a specific methodology. We set a baseline to figure out what are your preferences, your biases, and from there we then look at how can you be more effective in your environment. And a lot of that flapping and waving you see on the sidelines of any sports game, that is the physical interpretation of how do you become more effective. Unfortunately, yelling and flapping your arms doesn't work well in a business environment.
Not really.
Yeah, it's okay to shout at players if you're the coach. You can't shout at employees, I'm guessing.
Well, and many times in business coaching, you're dealing with a specific leader that's having a specific challenge within an organization.
Right.
And what you want to do is you want to guide that person so that he or she can go back to the team and make the organization more effective. So we're actually more on lines of coaching the coach. If you want to use the sports analogy, we're helping the coach do better. Because we're not dealing with every individual within the organization. We're not trying to maneuver the entire organization by ourselves. We're using them to change their behavior to influence effective performance in the organization.
Right. And I guess the information you're imparting is a gameplay. You're coming, that moment where they cover their mouths to give the next play on the field. That's your secret sauce, isn't it? That's your...
That covering your mouth with the clipboard and how are you going to achieve it and what's your strategy. Yeah. We have a very specific methodology that gets into that really looks at, let's frame out your question, let's look at this through proven lenses that are going to give you some results. Bottom line up front, becoming a good leader isn't easy. It's not something that you can gain in 6 easy steps. If you're looking at that book in the bookshop that says Leadership for Dummies, leave it on the shelf.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think they actually ever produced that one because they realized that is not going to work out.
There was not someone who was going to fall for that.
Yeah. And there's always that age-old question, are leaders born or are they developed? And no, there is no such thing as a born leader.
I am intrigued, though. I mean, do you often work with people and you get a sense of their personality and think, yes, this person's got the ability to be able to command some respect in a room? They might not have the tools to be able to do that. Is that a better scenario than going into a room where someone who knows everything about business but has the personality of a kipper?
Yeah. And I can give you some examples in a hospital setting. You can be the best neurosurgeon, but if they put you in charge of other people, it's hardly ever going to go well unless they get a good coach
and
to help them learn how to lead.
I think anyone can be a good leader, number one, if they commit to the changes that need to happen so that they can resonate. Because even a person with the personality of a kipper, we've had more than one political leader across the globe who really had the consistency of wallpaper paste. And you can, with the right techniques, lead, which is one of the reasons that we do a baseline for how do you like to lead. One of the clients I've been working with currently, he's interesting because top line, he's answering all of those questions well. I listen to my people. I engage with them. I build them. I encourage them. We did a baseline assessment. And yes, all of those top line questions reflect what you're supposed to see. The next most popular choice is, I just tell people what to do and I bully them into it.
Right. Not the sort of boss that most of us want.
No, and not the most effective one.
Sometimes you can break people of bad habits.
Yeah.
And as a coach and as a business coach, you see someone that comes into the engagement with bad habits as a leader, and you work through those and you see them grow and develop. We just had a meeting with one of our clients that we hadn't seen in quite a while, and he was in town, and he has continued to grow in his respect and leadership. Excellent. And being able to reflect on what's happening in the organization. When we met him, he was absolutely clueless of what his impact was on other people. And now he's saying, well, with your help and with the time that I've spent, I've started to realize my impact is significant. What I do influences people in my organization.
Was that a long process?
It was.
It's not something that you go in and 3 months later they're all better and they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
And
sometimes that does happen.
And this one where we have the problem with coercion, which coercion is the proper business word for being a bully.
Right.
The problem with that individual is, and this is why we use outside instruments and outside frameworks, so that you hold something up and you say, look, this is what I'm seeing. Response from the client when I held that up was, well, that's stupid and that's not happening.
Right.
And my response was, last week you said this, this, and this. Oh, I guess I did. Well, that's still stupid. So the client we saw recently, who we had had for years, we worked with him for quite a while. And then we did a tough love and said, you're not listening to us. We need to step back.
Right.
That was tough, but it's really interesting because after 2 years of being on his own, he's like, wow, they were right. And he has internalized it. So it's never a short learning curve.
And that's interesting because thinking about the sports analogy again, often the coach, if they don't start delivering goals, the fans start to get a bit pissed off. The club owners start to get a little bit pissed off, and all the blame goes right back to that coach. But that doesn't sound like it's necessarily the case with you guys, because you're nurturing long-term relationships.
Yeah, if you look at sports players, the people that coach in a professional sport is given, those people have been perfecting their skills for 20 years in most cases. Yeah. That's a little different than your average day at the office with government employees.
Yeah. You can imagine a coach trying to coach someone that has a $15 million contract.
Oh.
Is that person really going to be open to your suggestions?
The clash of egos.
And actually, believe it or not, most professional athletes have coaches themselves other than their team coach. Right. Because they realize that, well, I'm only going to play so long. I need to figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. And that's some of business coaching, is taking people through career transition. Yes, I played football and, beat people up and threw them around on the field. Now I'm old, I can barely walk without a limp, and I have to do something for a living. What is that?
Yeah. Normally it's open a used cars lot, isn't it? That's what.
Yeah. It used to be used cars.
Yeah.
Now it's more nonprofits.
Oh,
yes, and
Yeah.
nonprofits, but that's another
Another
story.
podcast.
You can help with that as well.
Oh, there's a very interesting one causing legal troubles down in Mississippi, but that is a soap opera for itself.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to us getting that one on the rota. Well, thank you very much for that. Cricket players, they don't do much of in the way of opening used car lots. I'm not sure what they do when they retire. They can go on forever in cricket. There's lots standing around.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, it's not all that.
Or do they open a laundry where they get the whites particularly white?
Yes.
They could do lots of washing powder commercials.
Yes.
So what have we got to look forward to next week, Heidi?
Is that really the right person for the job?
Yep, I'm sure there's many an employer asked that question. And I'm sure there's lots of employees, potential employees, have asked, is that the right employer for me? Anyway,
yes.
Well, thank you very much. I look forward to speaking to you next week.
All right, we'll talk next week.